it's here today. Julie and Milo show is coming your way on Passive.
Good morning.
Listen to their stories and how they tell when they join and how they're doing so well. Telling us what it's all about today and how they are loving that own passive way on Passive. Here today on Passive, there's no better way. Listen to the Julie and the Milo show, so then you can be the very first to know. On Passive, it's here today. Julie and Milo show is coming your way on Passive.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today is May 13, 2021. Welcome to the Julie and Milo show. My name is Julie. I'm coming to you from Orange County, California. My lovely friend, Milo. Milo, could you please say hello?
Good morning from Nashville, Tennessee. Milo, I'm Milo.
Good morning, Milo. Milo, every day we're waking up and we just think about what we're going to do for those days, right? And the first thing that we think of is we think of ONPASSIVE family. It is basically something that we've started it. You started it over 2 years ago, and I started over 2 years ago also. But the part that impacted our life the most is when we started the Julie and Milo show in December 4th, 2020. It was such a blessing for all of us to do this, Milo. Every single day we get to sit down at our home and talk to founders and now friends across the world. And it is because of ONPASSIVE. ONPASSIVE is a gift to humanity that Mr. Ash Mofarad, our CEO, is giving to us. And it takes every single one of us as founder to plant the seed to share to the world. And today in our holding room, we do have a guest, and I can't wait to hear about her story. So without any further ado, Milo, could you please help me to introduce our guest?
Absolutely. Thank you, Julie. Thank you. Yes, we do have a guest today. We want to know more about her. And I'm not going to waste no time. I'm going to bring her right to the stage right now. Agnes Raoult. Come on out, Agnes. Agnes, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you on the show today.
Good morning, Agnes. It's so good to have you here, and thank you for being here with us.
Good morning, Julie and Milo. Good morning, everybody. As you mentioned, my name is Agnes Raoult, and I'm coming to you from Central Florida, Melbourne, on the east coast of Florida, to be more precise.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Agnes, we love to, me and Julie, we say we have the best job in the world. We get to interview founders every day, and it just like uplifts us and we learn things. But we like to know a little bit more about the founder. So what we would like to do today is we want to know more about Agnes Raoult and her life. So if you could just start by telling us where you were born, your parents, about your parents, your siblings, and your family now, that would be great.
All right, so I was born in France, about 50 miles east of Paris. If any of you are familiar with Euro Disney or Disney Paris, I was born right outside of where now Disney is, on the east coast of Paris. And my parents were actually farmers. They had a large farm. But, life back in them days was not always easy. And one of my parents' dream was always to travel and to go to other countries. Actually, they wanted to go to Argentina, but that did not work out. And so when they had a chance to come here to the US, they decided to do that. So my parents, my sister and I moved actually to Dallas, Texas. Yes, not the best place in the US to move to when you don't speak English. But we moved to North Texas, where actually my dad bought a farm. like everybody else that has ever moved to the US for the last 300 years, we were looking for a better life, or actually my parents were looking for a better life for themselves and for my sister and I. That did not work out. My dad and my mom, my parents basically were part of the people that did not achieve the American dream. They trusted people that they should not have trusted, which is the case with a lot of people that put their future and their dream in other people's hands. Sometimes it works and sometimes it does not. And in our particular case, my dad was taken advantage of, and we went from everything to nothing basically overnight. So that's basically left my sister and I to find for ourselves. So we did what we knew to do. We went to school. We got a good education. We wanted to make our parents proud, and we wanted to make our parents, proud, and make them see that moving here was not an entirely, a negative thing. That something positive was going to come out of it. So we went to school. We worked really, really hard, and then we got ourselves a job, and we started having a great life. And we just started doing what everybody else does: get in debt, get married, have kids. I never had kids of my own, but I do have a stepson. So when I got married, I had an instant family, which was absolutely fantastic. And, we just did what most people do.
Awesome.
That's great. So I've seen your bio. You've done so many things in your life. And the part that I love the most is that you ate sharks, you ate snails, alligator, horse meat, wild boar, do hot dogs in Alaska, and then parasailing. And then you also climbed the Diamond Head volcano. But as I read through, I've also found down that you are an ex-single engine pilot, and that was something that's really triggered the interest that I like to know more. So please tell us what makes you wanted to do that, being a pilot.
Well, before I get to that point, I would say that I have always been extremely curious about my environment. So when I met my husband, and when he basically proposed for us to move to Hawaii, I was like, yes, absolutely. I have seen enough of North Texas. Let's go. So we have lived in several states, so when we first got married, we started with Hawaii, then we went to California, Nevada, Arizona. We went back to Texas, then we went to Louisiana. We moved back to Texas, and now we are in Florida, and hopefully not moving back to Texas. We love Florida. We are close to the water, and that's what we wanted to do. So I have always been very curious, and that's, people are saying, why are you living in so many different places? My husband is not military, and a lot of people have a very hard time comprehending what we have lived in so many places when we are not military. And the reason is because we like exploring, we like to see new places. But going back to your question, before I got married, actually, I was already, I should say, very curious about my environment. I started flying at 7. Back in that time, I had an uncle and an aunt in North Africa. And every summer, because my mom was so busy working on a farm with my dad, she would send us to North Africa to spend the summer with my aunt and my uncle. And so every summer we would be on a plane, every summer we would be flying. And I've always really been curious about understanding, how does a plane stay in the sky? So when we came here to the US, which was the longest flight I had ever been on, I was like, how does a plane stay in the sky for 8 hours? That's, I like to understand that. And basically the solution to my question, to me, was to learn how to fly. That was, to me, the best way to understand how does a plane fly. And I have always done things like that my entire life, where in order for me to understand, when I'm asking myself a question and I want to understand it, I just dive into it and go for it. So, same thing for the food that you mentioned. I've seen TV show and I'm like, how does those people eat those weird, strange things? And I'm like, I'm going to try it. I mean, why not? They're doing it. They're not dying. It shouldn't be that bad. So I love trying new food and I love to understand, my environment. So yeah, when I was about 19, I started having money and a little bit of extra money. So I just went to the local airport and I said, where do I sign up? I want to learn how to fly. So that's what I did. And that's basically what I've done my entire life.
Awesome. Wow, that's really cool. I look at your bio here and I see you love reading, no fiction, and learning, and you love traveling and meeting people and learning to understand new cultures and languages. And so just to move on real quick, give me your 3 favorite foods that you've eaten.
Oh my goodness gracious. Definitely a very, very good piece of chocolate is my entire favorite top of the line food. And especially if that is, in a decent mousse or in a decent cake. So chocolate is definitely way, way up there. Number 2, I would say duck. I love duck. I really don't care how you cook it, maybe the Asian way or the French way, which is very, very different. But I absolutely love duck. So that would definitely be my second thing. My third thing, I would say a very good piece of hard French cheese would be my third food. So yes.
Awesome.
Wow. So what's the first chocolate? What I love chocolate too. So what's a piece of chocolate that you love?
Well, it has to be dark and with very low sugar so that you can really taste the chocolate. I like very expensive chocolate, and the reason for that, roasted in a special way that really make the ingredient chocolate in this particular case come across, and you can really, really taste the chocolate without your tongue or your mouth, being distracted by milk and by hazelnut and by dairy and by sugar. I like to taste the real taste of food. So, and that's a big, big thing with French cooking, which is for you to really taste the food, and everything around it is meant to enhance the food, not disguise it. So that's what I like about chocolate. I like a very decent piece of chocolate that really lets you taste the high quality of the plant.
Wow, absolutely. Love a good piece of chocolate. So let's move on to ONPASSIVE. The reason for all of us sitting here and chat is because of ONPASSIVE. So I'd like to find out from you, how did you hear about ONPASSIVE? When did you join? And what made you take the action to be part of ONPASSIVE founder?
So, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, when we first arrived here, we went to school, and when I say we, it's my sister and I, we went to school and we earned our master. And then, we got a job and we started, getting promoted and making some very good money. At the end of the days, though, we were making the money. And here again, when I say we, it's my sister and I, since we were in a very similar situation. We had finally the money to do what we wanted to do. However, we did not have the time to do what we wanted to do. Here in the US, after you work 1 year for a company, they give you 1 week of vacation. You have to work 5 years to get 2 or 3 weeks vacation. And that is really not enough time to, go back to France and, participate in what we wanted to participate in. This was back at a time where all of our friends were getting married, they were starting families, and we wanted to be part of it. We wanted to have the time. Now that we had the money, we wanted to have the time to go back and be part of their life. However, we just could not do that with corporate America. So we started looking for something, another solution. And over the year, we basically came across, multi-level marketing, start your own business, be your own boss. So that is definitely the road that we went down. We have been part of a few companies. Some of them have worked really, really well. Some of them have not worked so well. But to come to your question, Julie, our friends and most of our friends do know that we are always on the lookout for an additional source of income. So we have a good friend who reached out to us in December, and December is a perfect time to reconnect with people and wish them a happy holiday season and all of that stuff. So that's exactly what happened. And we were talking to a friend, and he just mentioned that he was with ONPASSIVE. And being the very open mind that my husband and I are, we told him, hey, send us some information. Let's look at it. If you're doing it, maybe we want to do it. So he sent us some information, and we were like, wow, we might have another source of income for $97. That is unheard of. You cannot start any business for $97. So we just jumped on board, and we are, like everybody else, patiently learning more about the business, learning more about ONPASSIVE, and we are going to see where that takes us.
Wow.
It's awesome. That's awesome. I love listening to your heart and stuff about it, and we like to say on the show that the ONPASSIVE is changing the world one person at a time. And it started with Ash Mafaro, and it continues to all of us. So when we first get in, we look at it as being a stream of income for us and everything. But then as we go on, we realize that it's a done deal, that those things are already done, that you are going to have all the apples that you need to make you happy. But there's going to be a lot of apples left over. So we listen to Ash and to the other ones on ONPASSIVE, and all of a sudden our heart and our mind come to this thing of, this is much bigger than just making money. This is about giving back. This is about helping humanity. This is about solving the world's problems, that haven't been taken care of, And so I would like to ask you a two-part question. Number one, what are you going to do with your apples? In other words, you got some dreams and goals that you want to do, whether it's a new house, new car, whatever it is. We'd like to know what that is. And then go into, how is this going to, your extra apples, how is that going to help you help other people?
So, like you mentioned, we do have plans and goals. So one thing that we have not been able to accomplish so far, and of course last year did not help, but was to be really, really, really close to the water. As I mentioned, we moved to Florida to be close to the ocean. So the first thing actually would be to downsize. We have a 4-bedroom house at the moment, which is way too big for us at this point. So we would like to downsize, but we would like to definitely be on the beach. So what is ONPASSIVE going to do is that ONPASSIVE is going to give us the monthly income to be able to get closer to the ocean. So that's number one. Number two, my husband has always dreamed about having, one of those fancy cars. I am not a car person. As long as my seat is comfortable so I can go from point A to point B without my back killing me when I get there, and as long as the car is not going to leave me on the side of the road, I'm fine. But, my husband has a couple of ideas of cars that he wants to have. So that's going to be number two. After that, of course, we are going to take care of our son, my stepsons, my husband's sons, who is my son. So, we are going to make sure that he's all right. We are, in this particular case, actually, we are going to get him a bigger house to make sure that he has plenty of space for him and his family. So yeah, once that is done, basically the one things that we are going to do and that we are going, but what on passive is going to give us a chance to do on a much bigger scale is to help people that we know. So let me give you a few examples. We have a couple of friends who are foster parents. We also have a couple of friends who are basically uh, are adopting children. And they are people our age, so they are people that are a little bit older. We also have friends who sadly are raising their grandkids, and they really were not quite financially prepared to do that. So those are really the people that we are going to start helping as soon as ONPASSIVE give us a monthly residual income to do that. We want to make sure that all of those foster kids are going to be taken care of once they turn 18. We want to make sure that they're going to have a college education. A big problem here in the States is that once foster kids turn 18, they're basically on their own, and there is very little support for them. So we are involved in, this part of the system, and we really want to be able to financially help those kids so that they can get a decent education and not end up in the street just because they turn 18 years old and just because they are too old to be foster. Same thing with our friends who are adopting kids. Adopting a child is so darn expensive that they are not quite in a position to start saving for college for those kids. So we want to pick up where the slack is and also help there. So my heart is basically to be helping. My heart is really to help people that I know, people from my church, people, my neighbors, people down the street, some of my son's friends. I'm not going to say that I would not help an association, but my heart is really to be helping people that I know.
Absolutely. I love that, and that's one of the things that I think ONPASSIVE is going to do. It's going to change the corruption. It's going to be the correction to the corruption. And like you said, instead of giving to associations that might only give 1 to 2% of whatever you give to the people, we can now give right to the people. It's a beautiful thing. We can have people join in. But I do have one more question. What kind of car is it?
Oh my gosh, I don't even know. It probably has 3 German letters, like a BMW or my husband most likely wants a sports car, like a very expensive, maybe like a Corvette or a Jag or something. The problem is that we would not be able to get in and out of the car anymore. So it's gonna have to be a nice luxury practical car.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that was great. It was a great, beautiful thing. So, Julie, back over to you.
All right, thank you, Milo. I can't wait though. I love cars, so I'm looking to cars as well. But thank you, Agnes, for your passions that you share. I mean, you're full of it. You're a very exciting person. You love to do things. You love to learn things, and you love to explore things as well. But when you explore ONPASSIVE, you just like, let's do this because it is something that's going to help us. So there are still folks that still sitting on the fence or have already been a founder, but hasn't really looked into ONPASSIVE. So what do you say to these folks? Because you are in it already and you're excited about it. So what do you tell these people?
Well, I tell those people that, the US were basically built on people taking a chance. None of us would be here, no matter how long we've been in the US, first generation or, quite a few generations back. We all have ancestors basically that took a chance. It's time for us to do the same thing. And, the chance that they took getting on a ship, I'm not going to call it a cruise ship, but a ship, from England or from anywhere in Europe, and being on the ocean for 6 months to get here to get a better life. Imagine what kind of chance that was. All we have to do right now is take a chance on $97. That is the price of dinner for two at a decent place, or movie tickets for four people with popcorn and a small drink. If we want to improve our life, it really doesn't depend where we are, but if we want to go to a better place, we need to have faith and take risk. And $97 is really not going to make or break most of us. I would say that, for 99% of the population, $97 is really not going to make us or break us. So, if you are really sincere in wanting to improve your family situation, go for it. For all you know, that is the answer of your prayers. You have been praying, and as far as I'm concerned, this is the answer. This is God's answer to our prayer. Take a leap of faith, spend $97, and go and see where that takes you.
Absolutely. And it's beautiful and it's profound and it's real of what you just said. So, Agnes, thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for sharing your story with us. I'd like to hear if Milo or yourself has any last word. Milo?
I do. Agnes, I got a thing that maybe you want to put onto your wish list. How about getting a cruising ship liner?
Absolutely. That is actually a done deal already. We are just waiting for the cruise industry to turn around and start again. But yes, and the longest.
What I'm saying is you buy a ship and you have a cruise ship, not Carnival, not the other one, but it'd be called Agnes's cruise line or something. How about that?
That would be very nice, but I think the direction that we would be going is, to buy an apartment on those cruise ship where you can actually live on board the cruise ship.
Oh,
that would definitely be the way to go. The second option, of course, would be to just drive down to Miami and rent a very nice yacht and, live on it for 6 months.
There you go. All right, good. Okay, thank you so much for being on the show. It was great. Back to you, Julie. Wrap her up, and we're out of time.
All right. Wow. Thank you so much. You're giving me goosebumps because it sounds so good. It sounds so good to stay on the ship for 6 months and just enjoy life and enjoy the nature. So that's a good dream for me to pick on. So thank you so much, Agnes, for being here with us. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us. There you have it, everyone. Agnes is one of our founders, and she shared her story, her passion of ONPASSIVE. All you got to do is go to julianmilo.com and listen to other founders of ONPASSIVE. You see the cultures, you see their story, and you have to get back with the person who shared this video with you, because your action that you take today will change your life forever. Because it has changed my life, it has changed Milo's life, and it has changed Agnes' life as well. I hope that you take the action for you to become an ONPASSIVE founder. Thank you so much for watching the Julie and Milo show. As always, go to julianmilo.com if you like to be on our show, or if you like to hear more about ONPASSIVE. We also have a Facebook group called ONPASSIVE with the Heart. We'd love for you to connect with us there as well. As always, please stay healthy, stay well, take care of yourself, and take care of others. Thank you so much for watching the Julie and Milo show. Good night from Orange County, California.
And good night from Central Florida.
Good night from Nashville.
Listen to the stories and how they tell when they joined another doing so well, telling us what it's all about today and how they are loving that own passive way. On passive, here today on passive, there's no better way. Listen to the Julie and the Milo show, so then you can be the very first to know. On passive, it's a here today. Julie and Milo show is coming your way on passive.